It is impossible, of course, for you to examine cellular structure now as it exists in the present and simultaneously as it existed in the past. Scientifically, you can only probe those effects that appear within your present. When you alter your beliefs today, you also reprogram your past. As far as you are concerned, the present is your point of action, focus, and power, and from that point of volition, you form both your future and past. Realizing this, you will understand that you are not at the mercy of a past over which you have no control. While your present conscious beliefs dictate your current experience, and while your physical body wears its solidity only in present time to your senses, beneath this, both the ever-changing elements of your body and your consciousness are relatively free in time. They exist in a multidimensionality with which rational consciousness is not yet equipped to deal. This is not meant to dilute the function or natural abilities of reasoning awareness, for its powers allow you to focus experience in a highly specific manner, and to direct energy with great purposeful attention. In your terms, this action is in the process of automatically changing the nature of rational consciousness, which is, as you think of it, in a state of evolution. Your consciousness is not a thing that you possess. Your individuality is not a thing with limits. If you ask, "What is my individuality in all of this?" or "Which I am I?" then you are automatically thinking of yourself as a psychological entity with definite boundaries that must be protected at all costs. You may say, "I was born in a house on a certain street in a certain town, and no present belief to the contrary will change that fact." If, in the present, one past event can be altered within your neuronal structure, however, then basically, no event is safe from such change. In your practical experience, tables remain tables, although physicists well know that physical appearance is in some ways a mirage. At your level of experience, many effects are accepted and used quite practically, as are your solid tables. You do not perceive the atoms or molecules that compose them, so in the same way, but in a different manner of speaking, events seem quote-unquote solid as tables do. Yet at other levels, this seeming solidity of events also breaks down. Which you? Which world? A sudden contemporary belief in illness will actually reach back into the past, affecting the organism at that level, and inserting into the past experience of the cells the initiation of those biological events that will then seem to give birth to a present disease. In the current pivoting of its experience, therefore, your conscious mind directs not only the present, but future and past experience of deep neurological events. Cellular memory can be changed at any point. Present beliefs can insert into the past new memory, both psychologically and physically. The future is in no way predetermined on basic levels. This does not mean that the future cannot be predicted sometimes, for in practical terms you will often continue with certain lines of probability which can be seen quote-unquote ahead of time. Such predictions can affect the probabilities, of course, and reinforce a present line of belief. Physicians often wonder whether they should tell terminal patients of their impending deaths. There is great controversy. In some cases, such a prediction can make death a fact, while its opposite can regenerate the patient's belief in his or her own ability to live. No man will die simply because a physician tells him he is going to, however. No one is so at the mercy of another's beliefs. Each individual, generally speaking, knows his challenges and overall programs, and the time of his death. But even such decisions can be altered at any time in your quote-unquote now. The entire body can be regenerated in a way that would be impossible to predict in usual medical terms. You rule your experiences from the focal point of your present, where your beliefs directly intercept with the body and the physical world on the one hand, and the invisible world from which you draw your energy and strength on the other. This applies to individuals, societies, races, and nations, and to sociological, biological, and psychic activities. In daily practical experience, try to concentrate for a while upon seemingly subordinate abilities, ones that you think of as latent. If you do so consistently, using your imagination and will, then those abilities will become prominent in your present. The current beliefs will reprogram and alter past experience. It is not simply that past, forgotten, unconsciously perceived events will be put together in a new way and organized under a new heading, but that in that past, now not perceivable, the entire bodily response to seemingly past events will change. Your desire or belief will literally be reaching back into time, teaching the nerves new tricks. Definite reorganizations in that past will occur in your present, allowing you to behave in entirely new fashions. Learned behavior, therefore, alters not only present and future, but also past conduct. Your power as a rational consciousness focused in the present provides you with opportunities for creativity that you are but vaguely learning to understand. As you do learn, you will automatically begin to appreciate the multidimensional nature of not only your own species, but of others as well. The moment as you think of it, then, is the creative framework through which you, the non-physical self, constantly form corporeal reality, and through that window into earthly existence, you form both its future and its past. Now, in purely physical terms, what you think of as consciousness of the self arises from a certain peak of intensity reached by the Gestalt consciousness of the atoms and molecules and cells and organs that compose the body. The peculiarly physically oriented self that you know has its reality in that context, but even in physical terms, its reality is more than any analysis of its entirety would show. It then directs the activity of the body, and is to that extent dependent upon neurological activity. The psychic structure of consciousness that organizes that bodily gestalt is, however, not dependent upon it, and so the you that you experience is only a portion of this greater identity. During certain stages in sleep states, you short-circuit the neurological structures and perceive experiences of a multidimensional nature that you then attempt to translate as best you can into stimuli that can be physically assimilated. Hence, you often convert these into symbolic images that can be understood, and to some extent reacted to by your bodily structure. Many times, such constructions are used as inner visual patterns, for example. Visually, they often bear a similarity to the inner architecture of the cells and to planets. Your dream images are biologically structured then. The experiences behind them bring you in contact with the deepest portions of your non-physical reality, and it is the unconscious who translates these for you into recognizable images and forms. In the same way, your unconscious also transforms for you, from an otherwise undifferentiated maze of reality, fields of activation into recognizable objects and events in your daily life. You are now rooted in your creaturehood, graced to perceive through your body a unique living experience. So when I mention techniques that will allow you to perceive other fields of reality beside your own, I want you to realize that these should be used to enhance your enjoyment of that creaturehood and to enrich your sensual as well as spiritual expression. In the brilliance of your physical being, both are entwined. The neuronal activity structures your conscious experience then. The overall rhythms of your creaturehood automatically bring you into periods of rest and intense focus. The night and day constitute a framework within which your experience is couched, providing the conscious mind with needed stimuli and relaxation, and allowing for proper assimilation of events. As mentioned, even then, the body construction has built-in mechanisms to alter such an arrangement when further data can be handled. As a rule, you have enough difficulty dealing with the day's occurrences, much less next week's, and so in the sequence of events, the reality of probable actions is usually hidden from your view. This more complex reality is an ever-existing property of your personal creaturehood. Beside this, in your terms you exist as a creature more than once. In each of your quote-unquote reincarnational existences, you are faced with the same relationship with probabilities. In each case also, the nature of the conscious mind sets up its own territory of identity that it regards as its own. This provides a clear focus in which quote-unquote present action can be considered. These incarnations are all simultaneous. A death is but one night to the soul. The vaster entity of which you are part follows your progress as easily as you follow your own through the days. As a rule, most of you wake up in the same bed in the same house or town, but certainly you wake up as the same person in the same century. In those terms, the entity wakes up as a different person each day in a different century, each life seeming like a day in its level of experience. It carries the memory and simultaneous experience of each of those selves. A form is basically non-physical. What you see of form is only that part that can be effectively active or materialized within your system of reality. So the entity, in its own way, possesses what you think of as future neuronal structures. Within that vast form is your own, which is briefer, yet is not lost, not limited, and not predetermined. You form your corner of the universe, which is itself a part of another one. Within this, the actions and beliefs of one affect all. Each part is vital, and in one way or another there is instant communication between the smallest and the largest, the cobweb and the spider, the man, the entity, and the star, and each spins its own web of probabilities from which other universes continually spring. Which you? Which world? All of this may seem to have little to do with your daily personal experience, and yet it is intimately connected. For personally and en masse, you can indeed create, quote-unquote, the best of all possible worlds. The performance of a great athlete gives evidence of abilities inherent in the human form that are little used. Great artists, by their very works, demonstrate other attributes latent in the race as a whole. They still represent one-line delineations, however. Within the experience of your race as you know it lie all the patterns that would point to some fully developed human being in which all inherent tendencies were given full play and came to fruition. You would have an individual who displayed within himself or herself all of those great abilities known to the race, fulfilled according to his own unique temper, the artist, mathematician, athlete, the inventor, all the extraordinary qualities of creaturedom. The emotional realities would be used to their capacity, and any of the racial qualities or characteristics of the species would be given their complete freedom. Wisdom and foolishness would be seen as aspects, one of the other. Religion and science would each be unhampered by dogma in such an individual. In the same way, following your own quote-unquote trace experiences and characteristics, you can discover those quote-unquote probable abilities that are yours, and uncover, to some degree, the nature of probable actions open to you for physical materialization. There are traces in your present experience of your probable selves, even as there are signs in each individual of all the great talents shown and developed so flamboyantly by a few. These traces can be brought into your experience to enrich it. They do so in any case on unconscious levels, where they form the basis from which you choose your current experience. The next brief chapter will be devoted to methods that will allow you to take advantage of greater options, to bring into your daily experience events and experiences that have so far remained quote-unquote latent. In each individual case, the options will be different, of course, yet you can draw into your present life some knowledge and intimate connection with your own probable realities. On a conscious basis, then, you can learn to deepen the dimensions of your life by pulling into it the rich fabric of probabilities. End of chapter.